Okay, let's go ahead and get into our first story tonight. We're going to dive into the story about Joe Biden interfering with the ICC arrest warrant. So we actually talked about this a couple of nights ago, that it was looking probable that the International Court was actually going to issue an arrest warrant to Benjamin Netanyahu. It's looking more probable. And of course, we played the clip, the speech that Netanyahu gave, where obviously he's starting to panic. He's freaking out. He's already contacted the Biden administration to try to get him out of this. Well, now it has been announced that there are senators, and this is bipartisan, that are trying to talk to the ICC to prevent them from doing this. I kid you not. And keep in mind, these senators aren't doing anything that Joe Biden does not want them to do. You got to understand that this is bipartisan here. Here's the scoop. Senators meet with the ICC over concerns about possible Israel arrest warrants. I kid you not. So you see how they're trying to intervene here? Anything to protect Netanyahu and the U.S. relationship with Israel. A bipartisan group of senators held a virtual meeting on Wednesday with senior officials at the ICC to express their concern about possible arrest warrants being issued for Israeli leaders over the war in Gaza, according to 3 sources who were in the meeting or briefed about it. Here's why it matters. I moved up a little too quick. Israeli officials have grown increasingly worried over the last 2 weeks that the ICC is preparing to issue arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi. Driving the news, the ICC, which is based in The Hague, has been investigating since 2021 possible war crimes by both Israeli forces and Palestinian militants dating back to 2014 Israel-Hamas war. So that piece there is very important. This is not in reference to, or this is not solely about October 7th. This is an investigation that they started since 2021. So that piece, I think, is important for people to hear. Okay. And this is another reason why I think Netanyahu may be nervous, because, again, it shows what we've been saying all along on the show is that this started long before October 7th. And I also think it's important to address they're not just trying to or considering to issue arrest warrants to Benjamin Netanyahu, but also to Palestinian forces as well. So just keep that in mind. They're thinking about issuing an arrest warrants on both sides. Now, you have senators that are coming in and they're trying to protect Netanyahu, but they're not trying to protect the Palestinians that the court also wants to go after. I feel like the U.S. government should not intervene at all. No one should intervene in what the ICC is trying to do. People need to let the ICC do their job. It does not matter who the country is. It does not matter who the leader of the country is. And it should not matter if the United States has a relationship with that country or not. If it were Russia that were in this situation, these senators would not intervene. They would let the ICC do their job. It goes on to say that investigation has been extended to the October 7 attacks and the war that has been raging in Gaza since then, according to the prosecutor's office. Over the last few weeks, Israel has told the U.S. that it has information suggesting the Palestinian Authority officials are pressing the ICC prosecutor to issue arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. The Israeli government warned the Biden administration, listen to this, that if the ICC issues arrest warrants against Israeli leaders, it will take retaliatory steps against the Palestinian Authority that could lead to its collapse. So now Israel, the Israeli government, is threatening the United States. How is this allowed? Again, let's change the country. If it were China, if it were Xi Jinping who were issuing these threats against the Biden administration, this would be checked immediately. But because it's Netanyahu and it's Israel, they're more likely to cave to his request. Why are these senators meeting with the ICC? And if I'm part of the ICC, my thing is to say, no, you have nothing to do with this. How is this any different from politicians intervening in court cases in the United States and meeting with the judge? So we have to think about this. It goes on to say, the issue of potential ICC arrest warrants came up during a call between Netanyahu and President Biden last Sunday, with Bibi asking Biden for help. So here we are again. The United States government should not intervene in this investigation. They need to let the ICC do their job. And Netanyahu should not be contacting the Biden administration and asking them for help. Obviously, Israel has done enough for the ICC to have enough information for them to believe that there could be an arrest warrant. If you didn't do anything wrong, why not just let the ICC do their job? If you know that you're not guilty, why not just let the ICC finish this investigation? Republican lawmakers threatened to pass legislation against the ICC if it moves forward with the arrest warrants, which the Biden administration has said it opposes. So you hear this? So Joe Biden's administration opposes the ICC issuing an arrest warrant to Netanyahu. It's not just the Republican lawmakers. So we have to pay attention to that. The ICC prosecutor office on Friday issued a statement calling for the end to all attempts to impede, intimidate, or improperly influence its officials. We're going to get into that statement in just a second. And then this piece here. Israeli officials said Netanyahu, who is extremely nervous about the possible arrest warrants, spoke to several Republican and Democratic senators in recent days and asked them to press the ICC prosecutor not to move forward with issuing arrest warrants. Does that sound like a fair justice system to you? No, it's not. You know who is a part of this, by the way? Senator Chuck Schumer. Senator Chuck Schumer is actually trying to work together with Republican senators to convince Congress to invite Netanyahu once again, to try to get him to come for real this time, and to listen to what he has to say. This is a bipartisan effort. Because when it comes to Israel, both parties support Israel. Now we get to the outreach here about the senators. Whoops. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Netanyahu outreach to senators was first reported on the Israeli website Ynet. Sources with knowledge of the meeting between senators and senior ICC officials on Wednesday didn't disclose the identity of the senators or the ICC officials, saying the meeting was confidential. Okay, I'm pretty sure if we could make guesses here, we would say Johnson, Mike Johnson, and probably Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer is the one trying to negotiate this meeting with Netanyahu and Congress. One source familiar with the meeting said it was an opportunity for the senators to voice concerns about how the ICC investigation regarding the war in Gaza is being conducted. What they are saying. Let's get into what the ICC has had to say. So there was a statement that was actually released from the ICC this morning. And I think you need to hear this, folks, because the ICC apparently is not too happy about the Biden administration trying to intervene in their investigation. In fact, we're going to pull up this statement now. Let's make it a little bit bigger for the people in the back, because I want you guys to be able to read along with me. Here's the statement of the ICC. The Office of the Prosecutor is aware that there is significant public interest in its investigations, and it welcomes comments, communications of concerns, and engagement in its activities from state and elected officials, non-government organizations, scholars, and activists. The office seeks to engage constructively with all stakeholders whenever such dialogue is consistent with its mandate under the Rome Statute to act independently and impartially. That independence and impartiality are undermined. However, when individuals threaten to retaliate against the courts or against court personnel, should the office, in fulfillment of its mandate, make decisions about investigations or cases falling within its jurisdiction, such threats, even when not acted upon, may also constitute an offense against the administration of justice under Article 70 of the Rome Statute. So here is the ICC letting you know here, they don't really appreciate individuals, which in this case, it would be Biden. They do not appreciate individuals trying to intervene with their investigation and telling them how to do their damn job. So apparently that is a violation under the Rome Statute. It goes on to say here, that provision explicitly prohibits both retaliating against an official of the court on account of duties performed by that or another official, and impeding, intimidating, or corruptly influencing. And impeding, intimidating, or corruptly influencing an official of the court for the purpose of forcing or persuading the official not to perform or to perform improperly his or her duties. The office insists that all attempts to impede, intimidate, or improperly influence its officials cease immediately. How embarrassing is that for the United States government? And they put it on Twitter. Okay, it's like, right. So you probably can find this on their website as well. But the fact that it's on Twitter for everyone to see, that is a strong statement. And actually, I'm curious now to see the engagement of this tweet. Over 2.7 million views, over 19,000 likes. So over 2 million people saw this statement from the ICC. The Oracle says, who threatens an international court? How utterly hegemonic, apparently, U.S. politicians. Lorez says, this is court tampering blatantly. Like Charlie Murphy said, U.S. is a habitual line stepper. Yes. Yes, very much so. Now there's more. Check this out. Biden and Johnson opposed the ICC investigation of Israel. We're not even going to dive too far into this because some of this we've already said, but this part here is important. The Biden administration does not support the ICC's investigation into Israel's action in Gaza. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said on Monday, after reports surfaced over the weekend that Israel is concerned the ICC is preparing to issue arrest warrants against Israeli officials. Now, again, this investigation started in 2021, not after October 7th. And what is really damning about this, if this arrest warrant goes forward, is that it actually confirms what a lot of us have been saying all along, which is that this did not start on October 7th. And it shows that Israel has been committing war crimes all this time. Remember, they're going all the way back to 2014. Jean-Pierre told reporters on Monday, the White House has been really clear about the ICC investigation, that we don't support it, that we don't believe they have jurisdiction. The statement comes as Israeli leaders are preparing for the ICC to issue arrest warrants against Israeli officials. Now, I want to get to this part here about Johnson and Biden. The White House expressed opposition to the ICC probe after House Speaker Mike Johnson urged the Biden administration to challenge the reported arrest warrants in a statement on Monday, warning that failure to do so would lead the ICC to assume unprecedented power to issue arrest warrants against American political leaders, American diplomats, and American military and personnel. Because what this says, ladies and gentlemen, is that at the end of the day, this is not Mike Johnson and other politicians in Congress looking out for the Israeli people. This is them looking out for themselves. Because the reality is, if they were to issue an arrest warrant to Netanyahu for these war crimes, then you also have to connect the dots and you have to follow the money trail. Where did the weapons come from? Why did the United States government continue to give Israel these weapons after it had been reported that they were committing these war crimes, especially from humanitarian human rights organizations as well? So this will also end up in the United States backyard. You can't sit up there and supply weapons to this country for years, and you've seen reports that they were committing war crimes, and you expect your hands to be completely clean if these arrest warrants are issued. So don't get it twisted, folks. This is not about the U.S. government trying to protect the Israeli government. This is about the U.S. government officials trying to protect their damn selves. This piece here from Democracy Now!, this gentleman here said something very important that I want people to hear. Check this out.
Ask you, one of the Israeli officials who spoke to the New York Times said that the possibility of the court issuing arrest warrants has been guiding Israeli decision making in recent weeks. What's the significance of this?
Well, it shows, actually, that Israel is worried about this. Obviously, they can't undo crimes that have already been committed. But many people say, well, you know, what's the big deal? I mean, Netanyahu, in fact, the ICC in 20 years has never actually got its hands on, prosecuted, and convicted any state official anywhere. But the fact is that if the ICC issues this arrest warrant, and the furious diplomatic maneuvering that's going on suggests that it may be imminent. Of course, it represents, first of all, a profound moral rebuke for Israeli actions. It makes it impossible for people to say that Israel's actions comport with the law. It also means that Benjamin Netanyahu could never, if he's one of the people indicted, could never travel to an ICC state party for the rest of his life. He could never go to Europe. But it also, it also suggests that ultimately any Israeli official involved in these kinds of activities down the line could potentially also be subject to an ICC investigation and indictment. So it really, hopefully, would have not only a protective effect on the past, but a dissuasive effect on Israel's actions in the future.
Yes. And I know you guys, I saw one of the comments in the chat. I'm Judah said Hypocrisy Now. Yeah, I know. Their coverage hasn't been as good as it used to be many years ago. But I did want you guys to hear what this guy said, because that's very important for people to understand. Because if Israel falls, if the government falls because of this arrest warrant, if they go down, they're not going to go down alone. The U.S. government is going to go down with them. So that's just something that I want you to take into consideration, because we are the ones that supplied the weapons. That's just the reality of it. Now, if you're still torn and you're still trying to figure out if you should pick a side, I want to show you something that happened at Ole Miss College in Mississippi. I want to show you something. Shout out to Ashton for this. A white Ole Miss frat boy dances like a monkey and makes monkey noises near a black woman who is protesting for Palestine. And you know why I want you to see this? Because this is 2024, but it may remind you of something. Some of you who are much older, you may have seen something like this in person during the civil rights movement or even before the civil rights movement. But I want you again to understand, this happened this week. This was recent. I want you to pay particular attention to the behavior of the people in the crowd. Watch this. So you see this? This is in 1962. This is in the 1950s. This is 2024. So I want you to understand the people, this gentleman here, this kid here, hopping around making monkey noises towards the black woman who is pro-Palestine protester. How is that any different from the videos that you saw, you may have seen in high school? I saw them in middle school and high school during the civil rights movement. How is that any different? Look at the faces. Look at the expressions on their faces. So if you're still kind of confused about where you fit in or what side you're supposed to be on, I want to tell you something. The media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're defending those guys. They're on that side. They don't want to see it that way, but that's where they are right now. When we talked about all of these protests that have been happening, who was being aggressive? The people who had the encampments, for the most part, were not. I showed you that multiple nights this week. This is not a class issue. This is a racial issue. Some things just don't change. So how far have we come? So Joe Biden and Mike Johnson and all the politicians and the university president of Columbia University, the Bill Ackmans, all these people that are defending, I don't want to say defending, all these people that are criticizing the pro-Palestinian protesters, and they're not saying anything about the people who are being the aggressor towards these protesters. They're on that side. That's what I want you to understand. Joe Biden is on that side. Hell, had this been a couple decades ago, Joe Biden probably would have been right in that crowd with them. Only this time saying he doesn't want his kids to go to a racial jungle. That's the side they're on. I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're a Republican. None of them are calling this out. This is viral on Twitter. Now, pay attention to who the police are in front of. You see this? These kids have parents. These kids have siblings. They probably got girlfriends, etc. And to be honest with you, they probably got it from their parents. I don't put nothing past it. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't put nothing past it. That's probably where they learned the behavior. But for him to stand there and make those noises in front of a black woman, and the police, this is the thing. The police, their hands, they're in front of her. So here she is. There's another video too that I can't play on here from this as well. Other names that they called her that I just can't play on here. The police officer, if you pay attention, they're around her. She is the problem. Just like the police officers were around the protesters that were in the encampments. They were protesting peacefully, singing songs. They're the ones that the police rushed to take down. Not the kids who threw things at them, who threw fireworks at them. Those people weren't arrested at all. And word on the street is, and I saw it earlier, I didn't have time to add it to the thing. Word on the street, it has now been reported by the Nation, that's the Nation outlet, by the way, that apparently the group that attacked the UCLA students that were in the encampments was funded by Jerry Seinfeld and Bill Ackman. So I'm not on that other side. That is the side that the Biden administration and all the other politicians are defending. These senators that are trying to intervene and prevent the ICC from issuing an arrest warrant to Netanyahu if they find there is a need to do so, they're on that side. That is who they are protecting. They're protecting the oppressor, not the oppressed. You got to draw a line in the sand, son. You got to draw a line in the sand. And I, for one, I put my foot down. And let me know if CNN or MSNBC, let me know if they covered that. Let me know if Fox News covered that. And I say that because this picture here, is this the one with the other picture? Yeah, the other one I can't show. Yeah, the other one I can't show. Yeah, one of them was really bad. Like, that's why I was like, ugh, really, really, really bad. But you got to draw a line somewhere. Got to draw a line.